fill me up and then I fall apart, 'cause I'm only human.
Hey everyone, it's Jody here and it's Wednesday. I'm glad to be back. I hope you guys are glad to be back. I'm going to go ahead and jump into this week's topic because it could get kind of lengthy. I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible. This week's topics are trans stereotypes, and I'm going to stay away from what Ren and Sam have already talked to this week. And so to help keep me on track, I'm going to be looking up into this corner a little bit here and there, and that's just because it has some stereotypes I want to cover, hopefully within this video. And to check out what they've been talking about, you have to go check out their videos, alright? So my first stereotype I have here is that all butch lesbians are trans, or they want to transition at some point. And that just isn't the case. There are some masculine butch lesbians, women in this world, that do identify as a female and enjoy women. Or they enjoy being a female and they love women. However, I want to say that, but being butch does not equal trans man. These two are two different identities. Don't ever mix and match them. Just accept people for how they identify in those moments, and then if that identity changes, then be like, alright, cool, and accept those. But don't ever try and read into something that really isn't there, okay? Two different identities, masculine, lesbian, trans man, two different categories. Typically, this has to do with a sexual identity. This has to do with the gender identity, okay? Pretty simple there. Let's see here. Trans men don't want to be called a lesbian. And this is just the most ridiculous, asinine thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. Because that's just not the case. And from my perspective, I would never wish somebody to ever be trans. I would not want somebody to go through the things that I have gone through to exist in a safe place in their life. Am I happy in my life? Yes, completely. I would not change my life for anything in the world, but I think that it is a bit easier to exist in 2015, 21st century America as a lesbian than it is to identify as a trans man. The reason why I say that is, or even a trans female, but the reason why I say that is because people have had 20 plus years to educate themselves, gain knowledge on the sexual identity of being a lesbian, and somewhat what that entails, and that has been put into the public, and people still understand, and people have a better understanding of what being a lesbian is. And a lot of people don't have that same understanding with the trans community in general. Now, do I think that we will come to that understanding where, we won't have to, worry about being called perverts because we want to go to the freaking bathroom in the bathroom that we the gender bathroom that we identify with? No. But it's going to take some time. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to take 20 plus years to get to the point, to recognize different gender identities, and, that same amount of time that it took for sexualities. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know and I'll clarify it up for you. The next one is that you can tell someone is trans. And this goes back to simplifying life and how we like to simplify things and put people into categories because it makes it easy for us to interact with them. And when we know one person that's trans, we're like, yay, I know a trans person, and they do these things, this person does A, B, C, and D things, and so there's this possibility that these A, B, C, and D things can mean that other people around me are trans, and they might not know it, or that I'm just going to scope out all the trans people in this room because of these criteria, and it just doesn't work like that. There's no universal way to be trans, to identify as a trans man, to identify as a trans woman. People exist on their own level and what they're comfortable with, and that could be, their comfortability with their bodies, with just maybe dressing more masculine, maybe binding, some people just exist in various ways, and there's no one way to be trans. It's like saying that there's one way to be a man or there's one way to be a woman from that identify mostly in like cisgendered cases, is that you know, you have to do A, B, C, and D things in order to be a cis female. You have to do A, B, C, and D things to be a cis male. And that's just not true. Like, life isn't cookie cutter perfect. So stop trying to make it that simple, because it's not that simple. Life is crazy and chaotic, and we just need to be happy with that. Alright? So, to finish this up here is that my last stereotype is trans identifying people are confused. And that typically goes back to, oh, it's in the DSM. It's considered a mental disorder, a mental illness, or a mental disorder because it's in the DSM. And that's just not the case. I do not think that I am crazy in any way, shape, or form. I think the entire world is crazy, just in general. I might be a little bit crazy, but everyone else in this world is a little bit crazy too. And mixing a little bit of crazy with other little bit of crazy, we just have to learn to exist together. But I'm not confused. I was born female, and that was a category, a sex category, that my gender identity never matched. I never saw myself in any way, shape, or form being a woman. It freaked me the hell out in thinking about being a woman. When I started growing, like, breasts, and I started having that time of the month, it freaked me out. Like, I literally thought that if I thought to myself long enough that this wasn't who I was, that I was supposed to be a 5'10" athletic man, and I was going to be a ladies' man, if I kept that in my mind when I went to sleep at night, that I would wake up the next day and it would be true. And for a while, I really believed that growing up, and I still kind of thought that way for a while until I couldn't deny the fact that I had breasts and that the time of the month wasn't going away. So, the only thing I was confused about was how to tell people and talk to people about something that I didn't understand. And so once I found the language and the knowledge that I needed to tell people about how I identified all along, it was a lot easier to do so. And that confusion was completely gone once I found the words to tell people how I identified and how I've always felt. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. As I said, if you guys need any more clarification, because I did cut some things really short and made them really simple, and they're not really all that simple. So, if you guys need any clarification, please let me know, and I will do my best to clarify, and we can have a good discussion. Alright? I will see you guys next Wednesday. Peace.